Okay, so welcome to this week's bonus clip. We recorded this as part of our wrap pod following the Glasgow v Leinster match, which you'll find on Apple, Spotify, and all the other usual places. This week I have Rich Mifsud and Jay Long with me, and we want to have a look at Leinster's general outlook for the new season. We fans of the Boys in Blue certainly don't need reminding how last season went, particularly at the end. And if we are to take that crucial final step this time around, we'll have to do so after quite a few key changes in leadership throughout the organization. Rich, starting with yourself, how do you think we should be going about it?
Well, I think things need to be placed into context. Johnny Sexton leaves a huge vacuum, but Johnny Sexton leaving any team would leave a huge vacuum. I think the saving grace for us is that we have an awful lot of experienced, extremely good players that will cushion the blow somewhat. But the fact of the matter is that none of our fly halves, now that he's gone, are up to that standard. Not many fly halves are, admittedly, because he is one of those unique players who will hopefully in the not too distant future be admitted into the Hall of Fame, the Rugby Hall of Fame, because he deserves it. So we will have, in my view, very much a season of transition, not just because of Johnny Sexton's departure, but obviously in the coaching staff as well. I think we will realise until such time as Jacques Nienaber can stamp his legacy and authority into how things should be happening as part of the coaching team, we're going to miss Stuart Lancaster an awful lot. And Stuart Lancaster was an awesome coach, is an awesome coach. I should say was an awesome coach for us. He took us to new levels together with Leo, and I think there was an awful lot of there was a very good synchronicity as between both of them. And this is a new relationship that needs to be fostered now with Nienaber coming in, and I suppose he won't be coming in until late November or whatever it is, at the earliest, because obviously he'll have some time off after the World Cup. But I think it's rash to make any judgments until such time as somebody like Jacques Nienaber comes in, but he's only going to get half a season, pretty much. So, like I say, not just because of the movement of playing stuff, but also in terms of the coaching stuff, I think this is going to be a season in transition, of Leinster being in transition. And, all teams go through this. We anticipated that this was going to happen, clearly. Am I positive about how our season's going to go? Yes, because Leinster has a great deal of, and we saw it today, even in defeat, that there is a huge and wonderful conveyor belt of talent coming through, and indeed already playing for Leinster. But these are human beings, they're not robots. And there's a new voice in the changing room eventually when he comes in, a new way of doing things. People will need to adapt to new styles. So I'm reserving my judgment until next season, and that may sound negative, but I think, to my view, it's realistic. So, I mean, I hope I'm absolutely wrong, and that we play an absolute blinder throughout the whole season. But I think that given all the variables and all the changing variables that we're going to have in playing stuff and in coaching stuff, I think it's realistic to think that the full fruitfulness of the changes won't come to bear until either late in the season, which is not altogether a bad thing. Not altogether a bad thing. I mean, let's not forget that the present URC champions lost 5 out of 6 in the first 6 matches, and they still won the damn thing. So, we
can't remember the name of the team who won it, but we know that's.
I can't remember at all. Yeah. But anyway, so it's a bit of. I hope it doesn't come across as being negative, because it really isn't meant to be negative. I think there's an awful lot of positives to come from this. I think Nienaber will bring an awful lot of dog with him, because it's in the genetic makeup of South Africans, I think. And you bring that dog, and maybe those fog lamps that they use from the from the stats.
Just not blue. Blue lights are
Blue.
bad.
Not blue ones.
Absolutely no
Blindingly
blue
blue
lights. Yeah.
traffic lights.
So yeah, it's being realistic. I think the positivity will come hopefully in the latter stages of this the season's competition, or certainly by next season, because they're very quick learners. They're very good people. It won't take them that long to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every team goes through changes in the off season, but this is so. I mean, for Leinster, there's been so many changes in the brains trust, but not just the changes, but there's people that are going to be there that just weren't because they were at the World Cup all through. I mean, it's not just this wasn't Leinster's first game. There was the whole preseason, and it was a longer than usual preseason. And the group of players is together then, and the coaches are working with them. So you had Leo, you had Sean O'Brien in a different role, and you had those. But you had Andrew Goodman who was at the World Cup as well, and then you had Nienaber, and you had Lancaster gone, and Sexton, who was effectively an extra coach as well, not involved, and all that. It was so that would have made for a different makeup altogether. Then you weigh that and the mitigation of that against the expectation that's always going to be there for Leinster anyway, to be there at the business end of the season. So it's all about how not just the players integrate back into the team, but when the coaches come back, and then the group starts to get together, and then when you start to get to maybe the Munster match at the end of November, and you start going into the Champions Cup, hopefully we'll start to see then. And as you said yourself, it's been proven that you can afford to lose a few matches at this stage of the season and still be right when it comes to the business end. What do you make of it, Jay?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an incredibly challenging season for Leo in particular to balance what needs to happen, because to a certain extent, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater either. I mean, we two Champions Cup finals back to back. There's teams out there that would have bitten your hand off for that, right? So it's not like we're a million miles away. So you can't, if we go for this full rebuild thing that you kind of see going online or hear about going online, that's not the right answer either. I mean, and even with Jack Nienaber coming in, it's going to be brand new ideas, exciting, but ultimately we as Leinster will have to change to fulfill what Jacques' image of us is, but likewise his image will have to change to suit what is effectively Leinster DNA. And you don't want that changing too much either. Now, obviously, you do want changes because we haven't won silverware in a depressingly long time. But again, it's not like we need to go back and teach Gary Ringrose how to defend. We have a massive amount of IP there to use. And for personally, I think a bit of bravery from maybe Leo and co need to learn a small bit from Andy Farrell in terms of bravery of selection. I think we've been a bit too conservative when it comes to the kind of the business end, certainly in the URC, like those two semi-finals where we already had our eye on the Champions Cup final, and we kind of tripped up because we were being, and we tripped up by a very small amount. But I think winning's a habit, and it's a habit that we're slowly starting to fall out of. And the kind of trophy cabinet is getting a little sparse in the last couple of years. So, and that doesn't by any means mean kind of starving the young lads of game time. It's a long season. I think it's 11 games back to back across two different comps. I think straight up. There's plenty of time, but there's plenty of opportunities to kind of bed those guys in beside seasons campaigners where they can learn the ropes. But again, I think as I think we said earlier, some clarity of thought in terms of when we get to that business end of the season, who the names and frames are. I mean, we need clarity in terms of the likes of what Frawley is to us at Leinster and compared to what he is in the green shirt. Who is the next Johnny Sexton for us? It seems to be Ross, but Harry's playing quite well as well. I think those questions need to be answered sooner than 2 or 3 weeks before some knockout rugby, and those guys need to be a cohesive unit coming in up to those knockout games, play together in the semis, play together in the final. I know we fell over in the World Cup, but I mean you could see the power of cohesion through us. Like we beat the Box, we beat Scotland, and we fell over down close against New Zealand with the same group. These guys are capable of playing tough, knockout games back to back. I don't think there's any reason to kind of hide Andrew Porter for a semi-final in the URC. It'd be nice to see us kind of back in it and just really, really driving in to get silverware And I think the other balance is, as Rich said, the kind of the massive vacuum of Stu Lancaster leaving and Johnny Sexton. The guys will have to temper guiding them. Like, Jacques will have an idea what he wants to do. Leo will have an idea. Andy Goodman will have an idea. But the players are the players, and there'll be a massive kind of vacuum in terms of the driving voices of the team. That you have to let happen naturally as well. You can't just say, Scott Penny, you're in the leadership group. I think the guys have to earn that. Otherwise, they won't be a respected member of the leadership group. The other guys have to look around and see Scott Penny and say, yeah, Scott, I'm listening to Scott today because he's earned it time and time again. And I'm picking on Scott there, but I just mean both the Leo and co need to know who those guys are, but they also have to leave space for those guys to claim it and earn that spot, and let it be let them be the new Johnny, let them earn that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a massive season of change, but I think that's something could be something good. I think it's something the guys can rally around internally, make a bit of a fortress again in terms of Leinster against the world to a small extent. Everyone's going to have these conversations across Europe in terms of, are Leinster a bit vulnerable? Maybe we are, but maybe we can use that energy to sting them as well. So, yeah, bring it on. Is my sum up.
Yep, definitely. Definitely a lot to look forward to, even in the early weeks of the season. Okay, well, right, that's it for our bonus clip for this week. Many thanks again for tuning in. As ever, be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe wherever you can, and follow us on all of our social media channels.